because they do not look happy about it. I'd say it's a fair trade though, because a flight-happy dinosaur on silent mode with night vision and god-tier hearing equipped might be one of the most conceptually terrifying things to be hunted by. They say getting gripped by an owl feels a lot like getting caught in the jaws of a German shepherd. Getting disqualified from life by an owl usually means getting crushed to death. If the prey is too big, they'll just dismember it. Since owls like to eat their prey head first, that usually means decapitation. So if you ever see an animal that's physically lost its mind, you can be sure an owl somewhere ate good. Owls will also surplus kill. A picture was taken of a snowy owl pantry with about 70 dead lemmings arranged like a wreath. And there's even a story of scientists finding an owl nest with 70 plus cat collars, although I personally don't believe that one. But the avian assassin is for sure one of the most underrated predators in nature. Yeah, we're not about to skip past an owl snatching a hawk in its own crib. You see, there's birds of prey, and the ones birds prey about. And owls are definitely the latter. Owls will regularly grief other birds of prey, like this beheaded red-tailed hawk, or this young Cooper hawk. As you've seen, they'll use the cover of darkness to commit hidden flies on families like this peregrine falcons. And it's not always about a meal. Sometimes it's about sending a message. Owls don't usually build their own nest, and this homicidal air mine has been seen attacking bald eagles in an attempt to hijack theirs. But owls also don't believe in spotters' rights, so God hit them eventually will try to use their own strat against them. Owls are honestly what would happen if you gave honeybees Red Bull. They're definitely one of those go around and find out.
I love watching
these. Owls have generational.
He's amazing with
owls
the videos.
and crows have one of the most infamous rivalries in nature, and it's because owls will kill without prejudice, and often that includes crows. But crows are also highly intelligent, and arguably the smartest birds on Earth. But more importantly, they have the capacity to hold grudges and seek revenge. So crows will bomb any owls caught in broad daylight when they have the advantage. Harassing the bird of prey usually OP power or friendship. It's how the same predator that can check falcons, hawks, and even eagles can get railroaded by a murder of crows. The beef is so ingrained that crows that have never even seen an owl will instinctively choose violence, and owls will take out any single lone crows they can. And I know I've been saying crows, but ravens aren't exactly fans either, especially when an owl can change its Facebook status to nevermore. There's another bird of prey this flying Horatio has major problems with. Each other. Owls regularly hunt and kill other owls. The two main suspects, the great horned owl from before, and the barred owl. Barred owls are pretty competent predators on their own, but often they get victimized by the flying tiger. It's technically not cannibalism the same way a leopard eating a cheetah or a red fox flatlining its Arctic cousin isn't. It still feels wrong as hell. The barred owl can be a different kind of problem, which is why the US government has been trying to pass a bill to mark 400,000 of them. And if that sounds OD, it's because the flying invasive garbage disposal eats literally everything, to the point where they've been outcompeting the native spotted owl into near oblivion. The crazy thing is, life retiring 400,000 would barely put a dent in their population. Owls will also run fades with deer, and they're not afraid to press other land predators in their territory like coyotes. Snowy owls are a special kind of trigger happy, since they have to compensate for having their nests on the ground. The result is the biggest crash out of the owls choosing fight and flight over wolves. There have even been reports of them dive bombing polar bears that wandered too close. But for all their talents, there aren't really any documented cases of an owl putting a person in the coffin. That is, unless you believe the staircase owl theory. In 2003, Michael Peterson was convicted of murdering his wife Kathleen in their home in North Carolina. And according to the autopsy report, the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. But there's been legitimate theories that it was actually a barred owl that attacked her and caused her to fall down the stairs. The theory gained more traction when it was revealed that feathers were later found in her hair, and that the lacerations on her head were pretty consistent with getting mauled by an owl. Now, full disclosure, I'm not really that informed on the case, but even I thought that was a stretch. But crazier things have happened. Let me remind you that the entire world thought Lindy Chamberlain was guilty. The whole time a dingo really did eat her baby. We might never know for sure, but there's a reality where a man served hard time for a crime an owl committed. Now, you might come away from this video thinking I feel some type of negative about owls. Quite the opposite. I've gained a whole new respect for these birds. For one, they're free pest control. Just one barn owl family can eat 1,000 rodents in a season. Speaking of the barn owl, they're monogamous, and not only will they often mate for life, they'll often return to the same nest year after year. You can't have that kind of longevity without reinforcing your bond, and the owl equivalent of a vow renewal is what you're seeing right here, called billing. That and a good intimate preening session. And while they're still wild animals that really aren't meant to be pets, the ones rescued by humans can often end up imprinting on them. The result makes depression hear boss music. And even though they're often associated with dark and death, in Japan they're often seen as a sign of good fortune. Moral of the story, owls aren't harbingers of doom. They're not the feathery antichrist. Nah, owls are just the cats of birds, and I honestly love that for them. But that's gonna do it for this video. I'm not kidding when I say I hyperfixated on owls for a couple of weeks, so much that I'm actually planning to trip to a raptor trail trust near me. If this video gets 130,000 likes, I'll share some pictures and videos with y'all. And don't worry, I didn't forget about the promise I made here because y'all really demolished last video's like goal. Like for real, I did not think y'all would do it that fast. And because I'm a man of my word, I will be visiting an elephant sanctuary sometime this summer and recording it for y'all. I do want to make sure I'm supporting a legitimate place, so if anyone has any experience with them and can recommend any ethical ones, feel free to comment down below. We'll get to that bridge, but until we do, make sure you drink water. If you have a spouse, go tell them you love them right now. If owls can do it, so can you. Support your local sky cats, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.
I don't know where you are, but I love you. Face still looks like shit. I got the biggest, nastiest pores.
If Narnia and the Twilight Zone had a one-night stand with enough hallucinogens to make the cast of Euphoria flinch, you'd get this island. What happens when you combine snow-seasoned beaches, sky-molesting reaches, air so clean you'd swear it bleaches, a hippie Satanist wet dream jungle, and animals not even Dr. Seuss on Adderall could come up with? You'd get a place with enough worlds for a Mario side-scroller, all packed into an island the size of West Virginia. Tasmania is like the lesser-known DLC spin-off of Australia. It was originally connected to Australia as part of a polyamorous land situation known as Gondwana, until they divorced and Tasmania moved out on its own. But now with that attachment issue, since it's only about 150 miles off the mainland, it's fitting you can't spell Taz without mania, because one day in Australia's draft folder will have you seriously reevaluating your sanity. Everything's just backwards. The seasons are flipped, with summer being December to late February, and winter being June to September. And if you want to fall without tripping, you'll have to March 1st. And because of the rain shadow effect in the many mountains of Tasmania, the west half of the island gets 5 times the rain the east does, making the landscape more bipolar than the animal it's known for. Speaking of the devil, we'll get to them, and that wombat is definitely not sleeping. But that's exactly the kind of mind to expect from a land where the toilets flush backwards. In fact, we can start right there. Your introduction to how weird Tasmania can get starts the day you lay cheek on a seat without checking yours. That's an easy way to get your tent tickled by a frog in your toilet. It happens so often that it's one of the things Australians just accept as a fact of life.
That's crazy.
It's like a fairy tale frog trying to be a prince but got confused and went for the wrong lips, but it honestly could be worse. Just think about being the frog. Imagine thinking you're at a water park, but then looking up to an ice hole, dropping bombs like Hiroshima. And while getting your bathing suit area caressed by Kermit would surely put a dent in your mental, the frog's technically not dangerous and definitely not the worst thing you can find in your bathroom. Imagine dropping trow in the dunny just to see the highly venomous Tasmanian tiger snake just under some TP. And yes, that's actually happened. How about a family of also venomous jack jumper ants in your kitchen? Now, their sting is a jihad the wasp, but only mildly painful in humans, unless you're allergic, in which case they'll tattoo your name on a headstone. It's like I always say, the odds might be low, but they're not zero. In Tasmania, you can have frogs